Hey friends, welcome to Sassy AF TV and the Sassy AF Audio Experience, Season 3, Episode 14, Finding Balance in Your Life. Have you ever struggled with finding balance? Okay, I say this jokingly. After all, pandemic life is all about juggling and trying to discover what balance is. This week's guest is my dear friend, Nicole Mixdorf, the Chief Wellness Officer of Balance by Nature. Nicole has a passion to inspire and motivate others to truly follow their passions and purpose and optimize their lives. We go deep in this episode, uncovering where Nicole's zest for wellness comes from, how she truly practices self-care as an entrepreneur and mama of 2 small kiddos, and why she feels so strongly about listening to our own inner guidance. As Nicole says, when you connect to your purpose, it is the most fulfilling thing in the world. It is my hope that this episode helps you find grace and compassion with yourself to create your own sense of balance and allow yourself to feel good. One of my favorite ways to stay healthy and make sure I get all my superfoods in my diet is with Organifi. Organifi green juice is one of my favorites. Just mix in 1 scoop with cold water or add some coconut water for a fun tropical blend. And I'm powered through my day to detox, boost my immunity, and burn fat. I also really love Organifi Gold Chocolate in the evening. It's like hot cocoa for grown-ups with turmeric and reishi. Try out Organifi today at OrganifiShop.com and use my code SASSY to save. That's ORGANIFI shop.com. Code SASSY, SASSY. Welcome back to another episode of Sassy AF TV and the Sassy AF Audio Experience. I'm Hallie Avolio, and today I have the great honor and privilege of bringing my longtime friend. We go back to high school. This is so fun. Nicole Mixdorf. I'm so thrilled to have you on the show. Thank you for being here, Nicole.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
It's so fun how our lives have just, I don't know. I don't want to say full circle because clearly we're not at a full circle place. We're far too young for that. But
Right.
I love how our lives have stayed in connection and we just keep, kind of doing this and coming back to a place of connection and alignment. It's really special.
Oh, for sure. It's so much fun just to see how our lives have grown and changed over the last 20 years, right? Or 25
more
years.
than that. Yeah.
I know.
I'm like, wait, how old are we? I don't even remember. I don't even know what day it is half the time anymore. So we can go with 20 years.
Yeah, we'll stick with that. That works for me too.
Well, I'll let you tell your story, but I just want to share with my audience that Nicole has built an amazing company called Balance by Nature, and she is the Chief Wellness Officer, which I think is the coolest C-level title ever. And I love that. But tell us about your journey, because I know that you really love this idea of balance in life, and you're a yogi and you have a lot of spirituality and centering. But there was a time when you were climbing that corporate ladder and life wasn't quite as balanced as maybe you would have liked it to be. So tell us about that.
Totally. So I started my career in the corporate world. As you said, I was working for a global firm, and I spent, 8 years kind of working my way up the ladder over there to be an executive director of business development. And I love what I was doing. I was working in the travel industry. I was traveling all over the world. I was managing this big sales team internationally. And I loved what I did. I was making a ton of money. I was successful, all of it. But on the flip side, it was really stressful. And that is to be expected, right? And that was fine for a lot of years. But then a situation came up where my dad got sick with cancer. And all of a sudden, I not only had stress at work, but I had stress at home as well. And when that stress really started hitting me from all sides, it eventually started making me sick. And for me, that stress manifested in my digestive system. I developed an autoimmune condition called ulcerative colitis. And if you've ever known anyone who's ever dealt with ulcerative colitis, I'll just tell you, it is very unpleasant.
I don't even know what that is, but it sounds pretty awful.
Yeah, it's like, bleeding ulcers, really not fun, really not fun. And
No.
when you are, trying to do your job, trying to present, trying to lead team, etc., eventually it just started degrading to the point that it started affecting my ability to work. and to function. And it started affecting my quality of life because, I was so busy. I had so many responsibilities. I had no time to slow down. I just kept going. I did what every good corporate professional does, which is to pop a few pills, keep going, and hope the problem goes away. But it doesn't work like that. So for me, that worked for about a year until the condition really got to the point where I had to stop. I had to do something about it. So I finally took a leave of absence from work, which my doctor had been begging me to do for about 6 months. And as soon as I removed myself from that big source of stress and started focusing on my own well-being, the most remarkable thing happened. All my symptoms disappeared. And for me, that's when I had that light bulb moment and I went, wow, you can eat healthy, you can exercise, because I'd always had a healthy lifestyle. But if you have so much stress in your life, none of the rest even matters. It just doesn't even matter. And I realized that my story wasn't unique at all because all my colleagues were suffering too, but they were suffering from, stress in different ways because stress affects people so differently. For some, it manifests in digestion. Other people comes out as migraines. For some, it's insomnia or anxiety or depression or weight gain or autoimmune issues or high blood pressure or whatever. And it occurred to me that this wasn't even unique just to my office. But every single corporate client that I was working with, it was the same story in every office everywhere. Everybody is stressed out, everybody is overwhelmed, and everybody is dealing with these horrible symptoms and not even realizing that stress is truly the underlying culprit. So I kind of got inspired to leave my corporate career behind and start up a corporate wellness business so that I could go inspire other busy professionals to create more balance in their life so that they could keep performing at a high level, but in a more sustainable way that's not going to leave them feeling burnt out and sick. So that was kind of my big mission. And that's sort of how I got started in my business.
It's a great story and such an excellent point about, stress is the underlying cause of so many both physical issues and mental health issues.
Oh, yes.
And because it shows up in so many different ways in every individual person, it often is misdiagnosed and not even, it's not even drawn attention to. Because also, I think that a lot of times we don't want to admit when we're stressed. We can do it all, especially, this audience is primarily in-demand women. And when you're an in-demand woman, you're like, I can do it all. I don't have stress, but you push that down and it's actually there.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, every single time that you experience some kind of negative emotion, it's physically manifesting somewhere in your body. And if we don't let all that stuff out, if we don't process everything as it's going through, if we're just like, nope, I'm going to power through, which was always my way of doing things, right? Eventually it can start really taking a toll. And, balance is something that's really interesting because you talk about creating this ideal work-life balance, and some people think that it's just a myth, like it doesn't really exist. Right. So what does balance really look like? Which is something we were talking about a moment ago, right? What is balance? And I think for me, what I try to share with my clients and the people that I work with and friends and family and everybody is that balance is going to look a little bit different for everyone. Right? There's no exact perfect way that balance is going to look for me versus you. But for me, balance, what that really means is that you feel good. You feel good all day long. If you can feel good at the end of your day, and throughout your day, then you've created a life that's in balance. Because to achieve balance, to achieve equilibrium, that means you have to have two things in equal proportions, right? It needs to balance it out. So if you have so many stressful moments up here all day long where you're stressed and you're not giving yourself enough quiet, nurturing moments down here, you're never going to balance it out. You have to be able to give yourself those care moments throughout your day so that you can balance out all of the intensity that you're dealing with on a regular basis. And if you can start to do that, that allows you to be able to keep being, you know, this in-demand woman who gets everything done and is a rock star in her own life, but in a way that's not going to leave her feeling completely depleted and drained, right? Because we as women especially have a tendency to give and give and give and give and give to everyone else before we give to ourselves.
Oh, 100%, right? That's why for me, one of the most important messages that I share is you need to prioritize yourself, and prioritizing yourself is not selfish. We need to change that story, and we need to stop just giving, because if you do that, it's, you know, the proverbial oxygen mask, right? If we don't put our own oxygen mask on first, how can we possibly show up for anybody else in our life, whether it's our coworkers, whether it's our business, our own business, whether it's our family, our children, our partner, our friends, whomever.
Yeah, 100%.
And we have to start changing that story.
Yes, absolutely. And I think it's the hardest part about it for a lot of people is that we just have so much going on that we just feel that we have to fit every single minute has to be filled up doing something productive, or, you know, it's like your to-do list never ends, right? And so you're just like, oh, I've got another 15 minutes. I could try to get this done. I could try to get that done, you know, and it's like, you never stop. But you have to give yourself that time. And the trick I think I've found for myself, especially being a mom with 2 small children and trying to run a business, and, you know, I've dealt with my own like health condition, like on and off over the years. Because even when that, the flare up went away initially after I started focusing on my own self-care, guess what? It also flared up after every pregnancy I've had. Right. So I noticed that,
right? Because there's stress on your physical body by carrying a child.
Yeah, but it was stress hormones and pregnancy hormones. Yep. So that's what I just noticed with myself, was that just threw it out of whack. And even like after my daughter was born 2 years ago, I had the worst flare up I've ever had. It was horrible. And it took, you know, I ran out of options of what Western medicine could even do for me. So I went on this massive healing journey last year to heal my body naturally. That took me to 13 different healers. It cost me $24,000 out of my own pocket, which was crazy. But when you get to a point where you don't feel good, you're literally willing to do anything to feel better again. And I did heal myself. I've had some remarkable stories that came out of that for sure, which was amazing. And it was so empowering as well to be able to do that. But I think, you know, it tested me in so many ways, especially last year, because my business was booming. It was really growing a ton. And I had a newborn baby and I had a rambunctious 4-year-old. And I was like, how do I balance right now? And so for me at the time, it was really honoring, number one, my body and what I was feeling, and giving myself the right boundaries so that I could, you know, spend enough time focusing on healing myself and dealing with my, you know, my business and the needs that I had with that, and being present for my kids and my husband. So I really had to restructure the way that I approached my day and what the boundaries were that I gave myself, and prioritizing more sleep and, you know, different things that I hadn't had to do before. And that's probably the biggest message that I have for so many people, especially women. It's like, you know, what worked for you before may not work for you now and may not work later. You have to be willing to open yourself up to try something different, you know, and to create new boundaries for yourself. But that is so, so, so important, so that you can continue to, you know, honor yourself and what your needs are. Because if you don't, you know, you just get depleted, and that it's not good for anybody. It's not good for your business. It's not good for your relationships. It's not good for your family, for anything, you know?
Right. Well, and I think that's a really excellent point, especially right now. You know, we've been in this social distanced quarantine, work from home, stay at home model for several months now. And I think it's caused all of us to both reprioritize how we spend our time and also shift our boundaries and our mindset. And I know for me, you know, one of the, you know, to your point earlier about constantly filling the schedule, That was me for sure. Always, I've got 3 kids. I've got a business. I actually have 2 businesses, and, I've got a household to run, and I have a husband. And it was constantly like, there's no white space in my calendar. Even though I would talk about it like, oh, you should have white space in your calendar, I wasn't necessarily practicing that. So it was like, oh, well, if I've got an extra 15 minutes, let me, like you said, let me fill it up. And now, since we've been home, I've definitely slowed down, prioritize things that I wasn't doing before. Like, as an example, today's a Thursday. I don't know when people are listening to this, but it's a Thursday right now. And I've been taking online belly dancing classes, and they are Thursdays at 4 o'clock. And I absolutely love it. And that's a priority to me. And so I don't schedule work. I don't take care of my kid. I don't schedule to do things with my kids in that moment. Like, that's what I'm doing because that's important to me and I love it.
Yeah.
So it's just been about reprioritizing and shifting, and also being comfortable with, like you said, reshifting the boundaries when you need to for what makes sense now.
I'm so glad that you brought that up, because that's one of the things, one of the strategies I always suggest to people is you have to figure out what makes you happy, right? What is going to fill your cup, and then prioritize it by scheduling it into your week and working around it. Because in my business, that's the only way anything gets done.
Right.
If it's on my calendar, then I know that it's there. I'm going to work around it and I'm going to prioritize it. So whether that's, fitting in a fun class that you're going to take, or even, calling a friend, if that's what fills your cup up, you need to schedule that as an appointment in your calendar the same way that you would for anything else for your work, right?
Right. Absolutely.
Putting that in there. Yeah, definitely.
So, as we've been in this kind of weird time of life, what are some of the routines that you've maybe shifted in your day so that you can, kind of keep that balance that you like to have between work and family and mom and all of the things?
Yeah, definitely. So, and especially given the climate today of what's going on in the world and just the intensity of what comes at us in the news and in social media feeds, and it just being like really heavy, like there's a big heaviness going on right now with our, that's really weighing on us like mentally and emotionally. And so in order to not so depleted and dragged down by that, one really key thing for me is how I start my day. That is key. So I always suggest everybody create a positive morning ritual for themselves, whatever that looks like for you. Absolutely do not look at your phone, because there's nothing good on there. That's just going to start your day in the stress response. So just put it away in another room. You can charge it in the bathroom or the kitchen or somewhere else, but don't look at your phone first thing in the morning, because there's nothing good that's going to come from that. So instead, use your morning to do things that fill your cup up. And it's hard when you have small kids that you need to help get ready in the morning, right? Because that just is so time consuming. Like before I had my kids, I would wake up and do yoga, and that was awesome. I can't do that anymore because that's not the time of the day I can fit that in anymore. It just doesn't work because I, wake up and take care of the baby,
Yeah.
So instead, what I do is I will use my time of like getting dressed in the morning, taking a shower in the morning. When I take my shower in the morning, I repeat all of my affirmations, and I actually write them on the glass in the steam. My affirmation for the day, my intention for the day, I'll do my whole gratitude practice while I'm getting ready. So I wake up in the morning and I'm like, thank you for this warm bed that I get to sleep in. And thank you for this amazing man that I get to lie next to. And thank you for this roof over my head. And then while I'm getting ready, I'm thinking, God, thank you for this clean water that's coming out of my shower. There's so many people around the world that don't have that, and you forget that something as simple as that is, a blessing to have in your life. So I kind of, try to fit in a lot of my own self-care time into the times where I'm already doing something else. So it doesn't take more time out of my day, if that makes sense. So for me, like my morning, as I go through everything, that's like the time that I just am like filling myself up. I'm boosting myself up. I'm repeating my affirmations. I'm doing my gratitude practice. I'm practicing deep breathing, while I'm getting my kids dressed in the morning. Sometimes it's because they're stressing me out and I need my deep breaths too.
What? Right? I know you're a fan also of essential oils. Do you ever put them in your shower so you can like get that in the steam? That's one of my favorite self-care.
Absolutely. I love a little bit of peppermint or a little bit of orange in
Yeah,
the
I was just gonna
shower.
say orange. That's my go-to in the shower is like the lemon or the citrus scents.
Yes, yes. All of the citrus are, mood
Elevating.
lifters. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. So those are really great. I use oils all day for
Mhm.
everything. And it's just amazing what an impact it has on your physical and emotional well-being for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I know a lot of the things we share, you're talking about gratitude, affirmations. I mean, you're speaking my love language here, Nicole. It's like, these are exactly the things, I'm always talking about mantras and affirmations and writing them on the mirror and living this way, because this is what does elevate your mindset and elevate your entire well-being.
Yeah.
Have you always been a spiritual person in this sense, or did the time when you were going through that stress with your father being sick and passing, I'm wondering if that impacted your spiritual practices?
Yeah, it's so interesting. I've been practicing yoga for about 20 years, and that was really when I first dove into my spiritual practice. So I would say, like, I've had a pretty deep spiritual practice for about 20 years, I would say.
Mhm.
It's only gotten deeper with every year that's gone by. When my dad first got sick and I was quitting, my job, that was when I first really started meditation. I wound up going to a couple of retreats at Deepak Chopra's center down in Carlsbad. And that was the first time I really kind of committed to doing a meditation practice. And that was really when I first started really visioning. A very, very wise, amazing girlfriend of mine she owns a yoga studio down in Orange County. And it's so amazing because our lives just have gone down such like a parallel kind of road. But she went with me on that retreat, and I'll never forget, she had me do my very first vision exercise when I was there. And she's like, okay, if you could do anything at all that you wanted, what do you really want to do? And I was like, well, if I could really do anything, I really want to have, a yoga business. But in my mind, I was like, that's not even a possibility. Like, how can I even do that? I was making a ton of money at my corporate job. Like, that just didn't seem like it was even realistic. And she said to me, she's like, you know what? If this is what you want to do, that's all you should focus on. And I was like, well, how am I going to do that? Like, do I just quit my job and, all of that? And she's like, listen, you're not quitting your job to twiddle your thumbs. You're quitting your job so that you can start a business. So maybe, yes, you take a step back, but it's to ultimately take a leap forward in your life. And that was the first moment that I went, wow, you know what? This is actually a possibility. I can actually like potentially do something. And that really got me started down a different road too, where with my own spiritual practice as well, which was doing a lot of visualization,
Mhm.
a lot of connection. At Deepak Chopra's center, he changed my life at that retreat because he taught me that there's three really important questions that you have to ask yourself every single day. Okay, so everyone write this down. So the first question is, who am I? Who am I? Not this is my name and this is what I do, but who am I really, like deep down in my soul? Who am I? And then the second question is, what do I want? What do I want? It sounds so simple, yet we forget to ask ourselves this question.
Mhm.
If I could be totally happy and fulfilled, what does that look like for me? It could be, what do you want for your life? It could be, what do you want today? Just what do you want? And then the last question is, what is my purpose? What am I here to do? How can I serve? And, he would say that in order to figure out what your purpose is in life, you need to connect with what your passions are and what your gifts are, because everybody has a unique gift. We all have something that we do, spectacularly. That's our own personal, unique brilliance, right? Things that you just love to do, that you would do all day long and give it away for free because you just love it so much. Those things that you just love to do that you lose track of time when you're doing it. If you can figure out what those passions are and find a way to use that passion to help other people, then that's what your purpose is in this life. And so he says, when you first start asking yourself these three questions, you don't know any of the answers, and that's okay. And it's to be expected because nobody ever taught you to ask yourself these questions. But he says that if you start asking the question to yourself every single day with the real intention of wanting the answers will start to flow to you. They'll start to come to you in moments of inspiration, in conversations you have with other people that just say something that resonates with you. You'll start noticing synchronicities happening, right? The right people just kind of fall into your life. The right opportunities fall into your life. It's just amazing. And so I started doing this practice. And the way he suggests doing it is if you have a meditation practice, to ask yourself these questions before. But what you want to do is just sit down and close your eyes and take a few deep breaths. And then just ask yourself the first question: who am I? Who am I? Who am I? And then just let it go. And then ask yourself the second question: what do I want? What do I want? What do I want? If I could be really happy, what do I want? And then let that go. And then you ask yourself the last question: what is my purpose? What is my purpose? What is my purpose? And then you just let that go. And you could just take a few more breaths and then open your eyes. This whole thing could take 1 minute, 60 seconds of your time. But if you do it every day, it's amazing. So for me, when I started doing this practice, I had just incredible insights that just flew to me. Within a matter of weeks, I was incredibly clear about who I am and exactly what I wanted and exactly what my purpose is. And I'll tell you from my own personal experience that when you connect to those things, it's like a magnet that's just drawing you in, right? You just feel it, like you know that you're on the right path. You know you're doing exactly what you're meant to be doing. And it's the most fulfilling thing in the world. It's like so exciting. So that is an amazing practice. And even as like answers start to come to you, you never stop asking the question. So you keep asking the question, and if an answer flows, then just reiterate the answer to yourself, but then ask the next question. You never stop asking the question because you're always evolving, right? And sometimes the answers are going to shift and change as you grow and shift and change.
Wow, I'm like chills listening to that practice, and I can't wait to start doing that tomorrow. That is, I mean, I could start today actually. I will do that starting today. I wrote down the questions, and I actually did Deepak Chopra's 21 Days of Manifestation, or 21 Days of Abundance Manifestation.
Yes.
I don't know if you've done that one.
I haven't done that one. I've done some of his other ones. Yeah.
I mean, he has so many, but this one, it was really fantastic. And each day he had, a different message for 21 days, and anywhere from a 10 to 15 minute guided meditation. But his wisdom and his energy and his magnetism, it's really, it just energetically makes you feel alive and vibrant. And he's very wise.
Yeah, he is very wise. That one practice completely changed my life. Because that gave me the clarity of what I wanted to do with my life, and that gave me the clarity to want to start my business, and that changed the trajectory of my whole life.
Well, and what I love about it, first of all, it's simple, right? It's 3 questions that you do every day, and it's sustainable because it doesn't take a lot of time.
Yes.
And it's also fun. So that's one of my mantras, is do things that are simple, sustainable, and fun. Yes. And I think it's fun when you give yourself an opportunity to really connect with yourself.
Yes.
And to know what you want. And so often, whether it's our society or our culture or whatever you want to attribute it to, we're not taught that we should ask ourselves these questions and really put ourselves in the driver's seat of our own life.
Yeah.
And so oftentimes we're so externally focused that we just don't think in this way. And when you give yourself permission and you set that boundary around, I am worthy of this knowledge of myself, it's absolutely powerful.
And that's really where the spiritual practice actually stems from, like truly. Because when you can, for the first time in your life, really connect to who you are, that is honestly what connects you to God. And that is what connects you to this, this whole energy of everything around us. We are very disconnected to ourselves, and we're very disconnected to nature. Like you said, we're so busy with all of this external stuff, right? So that's the part where we're like in the mind, we're in the ego all the time. And the spiritual practice is, how do you get out of the mind and into the heart, right? Into the heart. And that's really where it starts. And if you think about it, it's really amazing. Like animals like that walk around, they're barefoot, right? So they're in the earth all the time. We are not. We're wearing shoes. we live in these homes of, concrete and wood and whatever. And
Foundation,
there's
right?
often so many days that we don't even touch the earth. We don't even touch anything that is in nature at all. And we're so disconnected to the rhythm, but it's the exact same rhythm that flows through nature, that flows through yourself and flows through your own heart. And when you can reconnect to who you really are, it opens up an entire new world for you, a whole new world. My whole spiritual practice just blew open at that point in time. And that's really when I started just receiving so many insights. Now a lot of what I teach, these all just come from me, from insights I receive while I'm meditating. It's like I will just meditate and I will just receive a lot of knowledge. It just kind of comes through to me. And it just all makes sense. And I just wind up teaching it. And it's just amazing. The more you connect to that, the more you connect to your own intuition, right? The louder that gets, the more you allow yourself to be guided by that intuition and really just trust it completely. The more you hear it, the more, it winds up taking you, and it always and only leads you in the right direction in your life.
Right.
Always, always, always listen to it. And you can kind of tap into it anytime you want to. It's so interesting about those 3 questions that Deepak Chopra shares, but the practice is something you can do with anything. So if you ever have a burning question, if you ever are in a situation where you don't know what to do, you have a fork in front of you and you can go 2 different ways and you're not really sure, the easiest way for you to get that answer is to just start asking yourself the question. So again, you close your eyes, you take some deep breaths, and you ask yourself, should I do this? Should I do this? Should I do this? Or give me a sign if I should do this. And if you do that, I swear within a few days, you're going to know. You are going to know without a shadow of a doubt exactly what you should do, because you're going to feel it. Once you're able to tune into your body, right, which is an amazing part about like a yoga practice, or any of the practices that you're talking about, belly dancing, pole dancing, all of that, right? It's connecting to like your own sensuality. It's connecting to your body. It's connecting to your soul, all of that. When you're able to do that kind of work and connect into yourself, you are able to like receive so much inspiration, right? Like answers just start coming to you all the time, and you can trust, your body to give you the answer. So if you think about something that you're like, should I do this? Just pay attention to the sign your body gives you. If you're feeling like a hesitation, if you're just like, get this knot in your stomach, and you're like, that is a no. That's a big fat no. If you think about it and it makes you smile and you're just like, and you get excited, that is a yes. If you ever have to go, well, I'm not sure, doubt is always a no, every time. If you ever are doubtful about something, there's a reason that you're not sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I've been doing a lot of work recently in manifestation and embodiment, and meditation as well. And, just really being open and following the intuition and asking for the signs, and also being open to the opportunities and the synchronicities.
Yeah.
And I did not know that this conversation was going to go this way. And I'm telling you, Nicole, that it was a sign. The way that you just went there in this way, this conversation was meant to happen in this moment because I was meant to receive it. So I just want to share that I feel that energy, even through Zoom, even through this, internet, non-spiritual internet connection. But, I love that. And that's what's happened in our lives. That's how things happen organically. That's how we expand. And I really, really, truly believe that. And I've struggled with spirituality for, I'll be 41 in about a month. And I probably didn't even embrace the concept of spirituality until I was like 39. So it's totally new for me. And, before I thought it was all this hokum, and I didn't give it any credibility. And as I've shed those misconceptions, I've really just embraced it wholly. And when you do pay attention to what does that gut tell you, what is your heart telling you, really being in your body which is still something that I, have to work on because it's not quite yet in a natural flow. But when I allow myself and put my intention on that embodiment practice, it's very, very powerful. So I thank you so much for sharing all of that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so interesting. The yoga that I started practicing when I first started practicing yoga is bhakti yoga.
Okay.
And bhakti yoga, it's the yoga of devotion. And my long time yoga teacher, he's based in Santa Monica. He plays harmonium and sings and chants in his class. And it's all in Sanskrit. I didn't understand a word of what it was, but I don't know what it was. It was just listening to it. It was so beautiful. And even singing and repeating, it just opened up my heart. And I didn't even understand what I was saying, but it was the most beautiful experience of connection that I've ever felt in my life. And that was really what drew me into the yoga practice. And I started practicing with him because I felt so light and so amazing. And the more and more I dove into that practice, the more it just blew my heart open, and it was just beautiful. So, sometimes it's just a matter of stumbling on what the right practice is for you that resonates with you, right? That just feels good. And like you said, it comes back to feeling good, right? It all comes back to feeling good.
Always. We don't give that enough credit, and feeling good majority of the time. You're going to have bad days. You're going to have times when you don't feel good, and that's also okay and 100% allowed, but you are worthy and entitled to feel good.
Yes.
And if things are not making you feel good, then don't do them.
Exactly. Yeah. One of the mantras that I've been using is, it is good to feel good.
I like that one.
Yeah.
It is good to feel good.
It is good to feel good. And we all deserve to feel good, right?
Absolutely. I like to say, I'm worth feeling good. And that's something for me. It just allows me to give myself that permission. Like, I am worth this. I am worth feeling in a positive, uplifted way.
Yes, 100%. And everybody too. I love it.
Yes, absolutely. Well, this has been awesome, Nicole. It's so fun to connect with you, and you have so much wisdom and insight. And I just think that what you do is so special. And I can tell that you really love what you do. You take care of yourself, and you have absolutely found your purpose, and sharing that with others and teaching that to others is truly a gift. So thank you for sharing that here. I'm so appreciative.
No, thank you so much for having me. It's very special for sure. I've connected to my own purpose, just being to inspire. Like, that's it. I am on this earth to inspire other people to believe in themselves, to reconnect with themselves, to play a bigger game in their own life, right? To find balance, to feel good, to be happy, all of those things. And really, it's all so interconnected, right? But it's when you're doing what you're meant to be doing, it doesn't feel like work, right? It just
Absolutely.
feels like joyful.
Yes.
And like you said, when you feel like you're doing something that brings you joy, you're doing something that's good for you in your day, and good for other people too. So
absolutely. Absolutely. Well, tell everybody where they can connect with you if they want to learn more about what you do and learn more about your philosophies, practices, and inspiration.
Yeah, absolutely. So a very simple way is to go to our website, which is balancebynature.com. So you can get a lot of amazing information there. I'm actually getting ready to launch a new program coming up. It's called Wellness for Remote Workers. And this is the very first time I'm actually opening up my content that I normally reserve for my corporate clients. And I'm offering it out to everybody because I just feel very called, especially right now during this pandemic, to really guide people through the challenges that they're facing right now, and to help them shift their mindset and shift their perspective and use this time to really go within and reconnect to themselves and who they are. So I share a lot of these kinds of practices in that program that I'm going to be launching pretty soon. So I'm excited about that. And Hallie, I'll be giving you the link for a gift that you can share with your audience. And it's called Blueprint for a Balanced Life. These are my 12 steps to happiness. So that is a gift that I will give you to give to your audience as well. And And I just look forward to being able to stay in touch. And I just really appreciate this opportunity to reconnect with you and learn, about what you're doing and all this amazing work, and to be able to share with your people too. So thanks so much for having me today.
Yeah, so welcome. I'll definitely put the links in the show notes so everybody can get the blueprint and connect with you more. And before we go, I want to ask you my favorite last question, which I forgot to give you a little heads up, but it's kind of more fun that way. Maybe it was intentional that I forgot. I want to know, what is something that you do in your life that makes you feel sassy?
Oh, that makes me feel sassy. Yes. Yeah. I love to dance. So, I love dancing, and I, will just crank up my absolute favorite music, and I just love to just get into it and just kind of do my own thing and close my eyes and just allow my body to like move in whatever way it wants to move, for sure. Yeah.
Do you have any favorite songs right now?
You know what? Like, my very favorite song right now that I just keep going back to is a Cascade song, and it's called Angel on My Shoulder. And that one it just pumps me up. So
okay, I'm gonna look it up. I'll put it up on Spotify so I can get some dance grooves going on later.
There you go. Absolutely. I love it. And
awesome.
Well, quarantine is over, I'm going dancing.
When this is over, we need to get together at a little dance party in person, because I'm loving the dancing too. It's absolutely a mood elevator, and just, it feels so good to be able to just move your body in whatever way it wants to do its thing.
Yes, 100%. I love it. I love it.
Well, this has been so fun. Thank you again. I'm so appreciative, and I'm so just excited that we've reconnected in this way. So thank you so much for being here. It's been awesome.
It's been wonderful. Awesome. All right. Thank you so much, darling. I so appreciate it.
Me too. Lots of love to you. And thank you to everyone watching here for another episode of Sassy AF and the Sassy AF audio experience. I look forward to seeing you next week with another fun episode. Have a great day. Bye.
Bye.
Who am I? What do I want? What is my purpose? Since recording this episode, I have asked myself these questions almost daily during meditation and throughout my day. They have been instrumental to allow me to follow my inner guidance. Please try them out and let me know how this resonates with you. Thanks again for being here and tuning in for another episode of Sassy AF TV. It would mean the world to me if you would leave a comment and take a screenshot to share it with your tribe on Instagram or Facebook. Don't forget to tag me at Sassy Healthy Fit. Then make sure to head over to sassyhealthy.fit and sign up for our mailing list so you always know the latest and greatest in sassy fun. See you next time.